You're the God of my beginning, the God of my past, the God of my future. You're my God right now. You're the God of my beginning, the God of my past, the God of my future. You're my God right now. You never leave or forsake me. You're holding my right hand.
Hello, and welcome to How You Can Understand God. I'm Papa Walt, and we're going to do a teaching today on iniquity. Last video we talked about sin, and I mentioned the word iniquity. That I told you I prayed a little prayer, "Oh Lord, forgive me of my iniquities," and I didn't have a clue what it was. But there was a teaching that I sat under called the Mystery of Iniquity, and my eyes were open to a whole new realm of doing things against God that would cause me not to receive his blessings, but to receive the curse. What's the curse? Go to Deuteronomy 28. Usually the heading says the blessings of obedience, and I think you go down to about, I think it's the 15th verse, same chapter 28, and it says the curse for disobedience. That is a very important part of the Bible, and it is Old Testament, but it will really just work right over into the New Testament. All right, let's talk about iniquity. All right, what is iniquity? Well, iniquity comes from a Greek word, anonia, and that Greek word means lawlessness. Iniquity is the lawlessness in our nature. Well, how did we get it in our nature? We got it from, guess who? We got the heredity of sin, right? From Adam, right? Okay. Lawlessness can be defined as unrestrained, uncontrolled, unbridled behavior that is contrary to or without regard for God's laws or commandments. That's what iniquity is. Does iniquity differ from sin? Yes, it does. Sin, remember, is a willful act against God and his commandments and his ways. Okay? Remember, we are born with original sin. He does not hold us responsible for it, but he does give us the remedy, and that remedy is who? Jesus. So that would take away the original sin. We can't take it away. Only God can touch it, and only God can move it through Jesus. All right? But there is actual sin. That is the willful and actual transgression of God's law. That's when you are going to do something that is wrong. You know you're going to do something wrong, and you don't care if you're going to do something wrong. And when you do that, you have committed actual sin against God. Iniquity is the lawlessness or rebellion in our sin-loving nature. Oh, I think I just covered that. Our sin-loving nature is from the result of the original sin from Adam. We are inclined to violate God's commandments. In other words, that means see yourself as a little child, or maybe you have children. Have you ever watched them when there's that little temptation to get that piece of candy? Let me tell you something. They are inclined to get that piece of candy when they know they're not supposed to have it. And we as adults, we're inclined to do things that we shouldn't do, but we're inclined, we're tempted by it, okay? So, God removes something that is called restraint. This is after we continually go against his laws and his commands. Let me give you an example. When my girls ride horses, when I say my girls, my grandchildren, when my grandchildren ride horses, there's a bridle on that horse. And they can control that horse with that bridle. If they're going down a trail and all of a sudden they see danger, they can restrain that horse from going into that danger. They can turn that horse to the right, or they can turn that horse to the left. They can control that horse and keep the horse from getting hurt and keep themselves from getting hurt. Similar to what God does in our lives. The only thing is, he doesn't put a bridle in your mouth. He gives you free will. But he does have a supernatural, invisible restraint on your life. And what is that? That is your conscience. That is the intellect. That is his laws that he has put into you. He says, I will write my laws in their heart. In other words, their spirit. You don't have to have the 10 Commandments, but you know it's pretty good to know them. Well, Papa Walt, do you know them? Yes, I know them. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall make no graven image, make unto thee any graven images. Do not take my name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, and thou shalt not covet it. That's it right there. It's part of me. It's in me. I don't have to have a book. I don't have to go to the courthouse and stand in front of the courthouse and see them, because you know what? Most have been removed. And that, you know what? I don't get a big fit over that because it's supposed to be in our heart. Okay. When we continue to break those commandments, let's pick one. Let's do this one here because this is what I see in the country, okay? Honor your father and your mother, okay? Honor your father and your mother is more than just mom and dad. It goes beyond that. When your kids leave home and go to kindergarten, guess who they're under? The teacher and the principal, okay? When they keep moving through school, they're still under a teacher. They're under counselors. They're under adults because they're children. Also, in real life, we are under the laws of the land. We are under policemen. We're under anybody that wears a badge. We are to respect authority. We're under the city councils. We're under the governors. We're under the presidents. We are under authority. And when we do not respect that authority over and over and over and over, guess what God does? He removes the restraint. Just like when the girls are done riding, they take the bridle out of the horse's mouth, and the horse can do anything they want to. What's that got to do with a human being? The human being is God, after he finds the iniquity in you, and he'll find it. And you keep willfully breaking the commandment, honor your father and your mother. Don't honor the policeman. Don't honor the things that have authority over you. And sooner or later, you're going to find that restraint gone, and you're going to find yourself in more trouble than what you can deal with. And God's going to let you wallow through it. Well, I thought he loved me. He does love you. And he's given you time to learn a lesson. He's given you time to turn your ways. He's given you time to go back to what you know. Honor your father and your mother and your teacher and your policeman and your fireman and your government officials over you. Honor those people. Look at the world today. And all my life, I grew up in some protest. I grew up during the Vietnam era. Today, people have a protest over somebody that doesn't cut their fingernails the right way. It is unbelievable. Those people, and then when they come up against the police line, and the police are just trying to protect the businesses or other people that may be counter-protesting, or maybe innocent bystanders who just want to see it, and they go against the policeman, and then when they get in trouble, they cry like a bunch of babies. I'm in trouble, I'm the rest of me. Dude, honor your father and your mother. Honor the policeman. Do what he says do. That's how simple it is. It's all over the land. Lawlessness. So iniquity differs from sin. Actual sin is when you blatantly sin against God and his commandments. Iniquity is also a weakness in us. What do you mean, a weakness in us? We all have it. We all have a weakness in us from one of the 10 Commandments. You shall have no other gods before me, okay? How many of you, if you're truthful, would look at your screen time on your phone or your computer or your iPad and look at the total hours in 1 week that you spend on that technology compared to the time that you spend with God? I'll bet you would find the hours outnumber the times that you spend with God. That makes that phone a god. Money can become a god. Your job can become a god. And if you keep doing that over and over and over, the restraint's going to come off. God will let you work as many hours as you want. Guess what? There's only 168 hours in a week. And by the time you take out time for sleeping and eating and grooming and all that stuff, just see how much time you have to work in that job. Did you do it, Papa Walt? Yeah, man, I just think it's great to have a paycheck with 80 hours on it. It wore me out. It physically wore me out. But God let me do it. So inequity and sin are different. Well, why does God remove his restraint? Because he wants you to open your eyes. He wants you to be able to see the evil that can be in you, that you think can't be in you, because of the lawlessness that we do when we continue to break his laws. Where did the iniquity originate? This is going to be cool. Iniquity originated with Satan. Remember Lucifer, the angel created by God? It was found in him. God had created him. He was a beautiful, beautiful angel, and he had everything that you could even want in an angel. Lucifer entertained the thought of being just as worthy as God. He entertained the thought of being worshiped. He entertained all these thoughts over and over and over. And iniquity was found in him when he revolted against God. That iniquity led to Lucifer being cast out of heaven down to the earth. This is the one that really opened my eyes. The iniquity that God visits passes down to our children, to the third and the fourth generation. What does that mean, Papa Walt? That's what I said to my teacher. What does that mean? If we fail to recognize and confess our inequities to Jesus, we become prone to the same lawlessness found in our ancestors. In turn, the children that we have and the future generations can manifest these same iniquities. Just there are physical traits that belong in families. You ever known a family that you look and you see it from the grandpa to the dad to the sons? You see something like, let me use one off the top of my head, alcoholism. One of the biggest ones. Well, his dad used to drink. Stayed drunk all the time. Old John just acting just like his dad. And look at their son. Their son's acting just like the dad and the grandpa. Because they got prone, they got familiar with breaking a moral law. Drinking. Coveting a drink. Coveting the feeling it brings to their brain. Thou shalt not covet. They did it over and over and over, and God finally said, you know what? Now, does God say he doesn't love you? No. God always loves. But that love sometimes includes letting go. There came a place in my life with my children. I loved them. I let them go. It's an old song. I remember I used to kind of sing it to them. If you love me, give me wings. Don't be afraid if I fly. And I didn't. I gave them wings because I loved them. God does the same. Give us free will. He gave us a brain to think. He gave us a way to make choices. If that isn't love, I don't know what love is. But after a while, comes to a place where you say, you know what? They're going to have to learn this on their own. There came a place with my own children. I had to allow them to learn and make mistakes and grow from them mistakes, to fail and to grow from the failure. And hopefully people do. Sometimes I call it the generational curse. In the South, they call it, hey, we got the generational curse. What it is an inequity. It is a weakness. And that weakness still exists in them. That weakness that I have is in me. What is your weakness? That's between me and God. But I saw the iniquity in me, and I went to Jesus and I said, Lord, now that my eyes have been opened, please remove this iniquity in my life. And spiritually, supernaturally, it was removed. Practically, it still lives in me, and practically, it will still live in you. Well, now what do? You change your habits. If you're doing something over and over and over and over and over, it's a habit. And sometimes you have to determinedly demolish that habit to get it and replace it with a new habit. If drinking is your weakness and you pray to God and He delivers you from it, do not go to the bar. Do not hang out with friends that drink. Do not even walk down the Walmart aisle where they sell beer and wine. Determinedly demolish that weakness in your life before it trips you up. That's how you remove iniquity. And also with the help of Jesus. Can we be forgiven and delivered from our iniquities? Yes. Jesus Christ gave His body to be bruised. He went to the cross for all the iniquities in the world. He purchased that for us on the cross by the shedding of His blood. And when we recognize our iniquities, Lord, this is what's in me. Please, by your blood, forgive me. You are forgiven. God is merciful. His mercy endures forever. Well, if I'm born with this iniquity, can I just use it as a reason for just an excuse for sin? No. Well, I've been this way all my life. I just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know why. I'm just a sinner. No. When you come to Jesus, you're a new creation. A new creation. You're not a sinner anymore. You're a saint. Why would you insult God Almighty, who can do anything in anybody's life, by saying, well, I'm just an old sinner and I just keep doing the same old thing? Brother, sister, if you are born again, you're a new creation and you are no longer a sinner. And you have all the power of God working in you if you'll rely on Him to walk a life before God that is pleasing to Him. Back to the Ten Commandments. Why do we need to study them? You need to know them. You need to know them because they will help you in your conscience, remind you when you're stepping on the edge of that iniquity that's going to trip you up and go right into sin with it. Thou shalt not steal. Man, I've been taking that for a while, and all of a sudden, one day it says, why you keep taking this? This doesn't belong to you. You've been taking this for years. Why are you taking this? Is not your property. And it's then at that place, at that moment, you have to make a decision. You know what? I'm not doing this anymore. God, forgive me for doing this. And if the Lord leads you to pay it back, then you need to pay it back, if that helps your guilty conscience. Is man capable of keeping the Ten Commandments? Yes, by the grace of God. The ability to do for you and through you what you cannot do for yourself. The Holy Spirit who lives in us as born-again believers helps us to do it. Reminds us all the time what Jesus said and guides us and teaches us. So, that's iniquity, and it is different from sin. But it is resolved, and the remedy is, once again, the shedding of the blood, Jesus, and you accepting what he did for you on that cross. And with that, I'll see you on the next video.